finally here on YouTube and I'm so excited. My name is Giselle. I'm from Miami, Florida. I am 27 years old, but don't tell nobody. And I am really interested in makeup, interested in all things beauty. You can expect a lot here on this channel from me. I really am into taking care of my hair, skin. I recently lost a lot of weight. I'm also pretty nerdy and goofy, so you can expect a whole bunch of different modes of content from me. But pretty much today I decided to come to you with what I consider to be a neutral beat. This is something that I would wear if I was just, you know, hanging out with my friends or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, I don't wear makeup all the time, but this is using all neutral colors, and we start from bottom to top, so primer all the way down to setting spray. So everything in between you will find in this tutorial. Please, if you really like me, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel and all my other social medias, which will be, you know where to find it, down below. And if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments, and thank you for watching. So without further ado, this is the tutorial. So first, I start with a clean face. Has to be clean, especially if you're gonna be wearing your makeup for like mad long. Next, prime your face to make sure your makeup is gonna stick. If you usually have like oily skin or like combination skin, I typically put the primer where I get the most oily, and I kind of just like disperse it from there. The primer that I have now is the Angel Veil, which is the only thing that I have available to me. So don't quote me. I don't know if it's good or not, but we're gonna spread it all over my face. Okay, so for foundation, I'm using the Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation by NARS, and my shade is actually too dark for me. This is in Caracas. I have a little trick to kind of like help fix that. So I go in with like a concealer that's like hella light for me, and I kind of just mix it on the back of my hand with the foundation that's too dark. So that's what I'm gonna do. So this concealer, by the way, is the LA Girl Pro Conceal. I just like put that on the back of my hand. I don't know if you see that, but and then I just like pump a couple pumps of the NARS foundation, and I take like a little brush like this and I just mix it. So once I have everything mixed, I'm gonna take my foundation brush. I live by this brush. It's the Tarte, like the big old kabuki, and I'm just gonna like dab it, brush it on my face, blendy blend blend.
And I'll be crying your name, girl, until my very last breath.
I make sure I blend like underneath my chin, back here, down here, up here. Like you gotta, you know, you gotta like get in there. Get in there like some bad underwear. Okay. So next, after your foundation is blended, you love work with it. I use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I'm reading that right, yeah. I'm in the color Ginger. I am a ginger. So this is how I do my under eye concealer. Besides that, I like to highlight a couple more places on my face. I do down the bridge of my nose, in the like in between my eyebrows, kind of like center of my forehead ish. I also do like on top of my cupid's bow, because I'm not trying to have no little lips. I want big lips. And I also do kind of like on the corners of my mouth and right here in the middle of my chin. So those are all the places that I highlight. So once I kind of like put it down, then I'll use a beauty blender and I'll blend everything out. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, I do down the sides of my nose like this, and like underneath, all up in here. Oh, yep, right here. Okay, so once that's done, like I said, I blend everything out with a beauty blender. Typically, I don't like to blend it out dry because if you think about it, a dry sponge is only going to absorb any moisture that you put on it. So I spray the sponge down with something. Most of the time it's Fix Plus, but right now I don't have any. I actually got this Olay mist, so I pretty much just spray the sponge a couple times. So that is, I use that to blend everything out. Okay, so if I'm going out and it's a little bit like it's nighttime, it's a little bit more dramatic, we need the, you know, the extra contour, I use this. It's an Anastasia foundation stick. So this one is called Mink and it's like a grayish brown. And so I'm gonna use this contour stick and I'm just gonna put it in places where shadows naturally would fall. So I'm gonna put it here, I'm gonna put it a little bit around my forehead and down underneath my jaw because this is not cute. Underneath here, under my lip, that's also somewhere where I like to contour because like I mentioned before, we need big lips and I don't really have that. So I put contour underneath my lip to kind of create a shadow, making it look like your bottom lip is bigger. So I also added that, I didn't mention it before, I'm letting you know now, I'm blending. I'm gonna get my life together, thank you.
Until my very last breath. And I'll be crying your name.
Okay, so now we're blended. By this time, I'm gonna go ahead and start baking the parts that I wanna bake. Usually I bake underneath my eyes and a little bit on my forehead. Like make sure that it comes down to like the sides of my nose. There's maybe like a little bit of wrinkling, very easy. Please do not bake if you have wrinkles already. Like if your concealer is starting to set, don't bake yet. Don't do it. Just literally take the sponge underneath your eye and pat it and make sure that your concealer is not like jammed up in there, because if you bake, it will stay like that and you will look like you've been wearing your makeup all day when you really just put it on. Okay, so for setting, I like to use the Makeup Revolution Banana Powder, and I like to take it with a dry sponge. So I'm using a totally different sponge, no moisture on it, because we don't want it to kind of cling to the powder like that. Then it gets kind of cakey. So I'm gonna take the flat side of it and I'm gonna dip it in the powder. I'm gonna settle it underneath my eyes, make sure that it gets kind of like around my nose and a little bit on my forehead, and that's pretty much how I bake. Next, I'm gonna do eyebrows. I'm leaving the baking powder until I'm pretty much done with the rest of my face, just so it kind of like settles. So next I'm gonna do eyebrows, and at this point, if you did it right, you have foundation and powder stuck in your eyebrows. So I'm gonna take a spoolie and I'm gonna go through all my eyebrow hairs and kind of just brush out all that muck that's in there. Okay, so once you brush out your eyebrows, then I have very thick black eyebrow hairs. I use a pomade. I've used eyebrow pencils in the past. I just find that pomades work with the texture of my eyebrows a lot better. I'm using the Ardell Dark Brown Brow Pomade. I have the product on a angled brush, so I'm just gonna use that. The first thing that I like to lay down on my eyebrows is the line underneath that kind of guides what the parameters of my brow are gonna be. And then from there I can kind of just like fill in, but I like to get an outline down just so that I kind of know where everything is gonna go first. When I do my eyebrows, I like to be a little bit lighter when it comes to the pressure in the front of my eyebrow, just because the more pressure that you apply with your brush, the darker the pigment is gonna come out and you're gonna look like you have like square brows in the front and connecting all the way to the back, and we're not going for that look. And of course, as I bring it towards the back, it's gonna get darker because I'm applying more pressure with the brush. Okay, so now I'm working on the tail end. So like I said, the front part is going to be a little bit lighter, and as you move towards the back, it's going to be darker. Usually I just use my brush and kind of imagine where my brow would continue to grow if it actually would behave and grow that way. I'm going to continue to draw out a little bit further, and you'll see it's like a smidge, but it makes all the difference. Okay, so now that's done, you can kind of see the little bit extra that I drew, and on the top I'm gonna do the same and kind of connect it, but just so that you kind of see the like where the bottom line extends out to. Okay, so now I'm working on the top brow, and like I said, I'm just kind of laying down the first line and then filling in the rest, and then I'm gonna come down, connect these two so the tail is happy and cute, and there's no gaps and everything makes sense. And then from there you can just kind of fill in as needed if you have like any gaps or anywhere where the hair is sparse. Okay, so I'm done with this brow. I'm gonna work on the other brow. Next, what I like to do is I like to take concealer underneath my eyebrows and kind of just cut underneath. I like to take a flat top, thin liner brush and just go underneath with the same concealer that I put under my eyes. So that way it looks a little bit more crisp. I can clean up any kind of boo-boos that I made underneath my eyebrows, and I'm gonna blend it down. Okay, so I have the concealer on the brush, so I'm just gonna take it underneath and kind of just sweep it. I like to put the majority of the color, like you see how like it's saturated right now with the concealer. I don't like to just like splotch it on like from the front, because you're gonna be dragging that all the way to the back. I like to put it in the middle so you can drag a little this way, drag a little that way. So like I first initially just kind of like lay down a line right underneath my eyebrow, and then I'm gonna use the fact that it's like precise on the top and just spread it. And then I'm just gonna blend everything down. The reason why I'm not exactly like the neatest with blending it down is because for my eyeshadow base, I use concealer as well. Not the same concealer, but I use a concealer that's relatively the same color. So this whole thing in a second is gonna look like a blank canvas anyways, and it's all gonna be of just concealer. So you don't have to be like neat in blending it down. So next, I'm gonna prime my eyes to lay down my shadow, and to prime my eyes, I actually, like I said, I use a concealer. I use the Tarte Shape Tape concealer. I just like to put a little bit on both eyelids and then blend it out with a sponge. I just take a little bit of this and I dab some on my eye space. And I don't know how I can look crazier, but once I have that down, I'm gonna blend it with a sponge and I'll come back. Okay, so now that the Shape Tape is down, I'm ready for some eyeshadow. You can tell now that it's pretty much the same color all the way down from my brow bone to my lash line. So it's a blank canvas. I'm ready to lay down all the colors so that they show up a little bit more bright. So I'm going in with the Friendcation palette by Dose of Colors, the Desi X Katy collab. It's very dirty, but it's well loved. So the four colors that I usually use are the neutrals out of all of them. So I'm gonna go in with Basic, Cheens, Necessary, and Churro on the bottom. And I'm gonna use all four of them to kind of create a crease. So once those colors are all laid down, I'm gonna blend them out, and then I'm gonna blend them out, and then I'm gonna blend them again, and then I'm gonna make sure that they're blended, and then I'm gonna double check and make sure that they're blended, because we're not doing that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then it'll be onto the wing liner. First eyeshadow that I'm gonna go into the crease with is Necessary, which is this one right here. I have a fluffy blending brush. It is the MAC 224 brush. It's very floof on the top. And I'm going in and putting a little bit of the color on the tip of the brush, and I'm just gonna blend out where the crease is. If you're not sure if you blended enough, that means that you need to blend. I just like blending until my eyeball falls out. So. The majority of the color is gonna go where the deepest part of my crease is, so like in the socket. And then once I kind of lay that color down, I can go back and forth to blend it, and I can start bringing it up and out towards the brow bone. So once you have that color down, it should just kind of look like you have a deeper, more exaggerated socket. So that's what we have going on here. So I'm going to just repeat that on this eye, and then we'll move on to the next color. Okay, so now that we've laid down necessary in the crease, I'm going to use the deeper color, which is Cheens, which is that dark brown right here. And I'm gonna put that with a more tapered blending brush. The brush that we used before was a little bit more wide. That means it's gonna spread the color more. Whereas this one is gonna put the color exactly where I put it and kind of just blend it out a little bit. Okay, so now that I put it just on like the very tip of the brush. I'm gonna put that dead in my crease, and then I'm gonna blend it out. So if you notice, the color is going boom right here where my socket is. I'm gonna sweep back and forth. I'm gonna do that a couple more times until I then start to bring it out and blend it with necessary. And if it looks kind of harsh, that's okay. You can always go back with the color that you used before to kind of like diffuse it a little bit. So I'm going to take back the same brush that I first used, and I'm going to go back into the first color, which is necessary, and I'm going to use that to kind of blend the two together.
Until my very last breath.
Okay, so now that's done, I'm going to go to the other eye, do the same thing, and then we'll come back. Okay, so once your creases are both blended out, then I need to apply my lid color. I usually like to put like a bone color, light cream color, something light like on my lids. Especially I'm gonna move from right where the inner tear duct is out to the crease. I'm just gonna like pat down the color, and then I'll go back with a blending brush and make sure that the crease and the lid blend seamlessly. I'm gonna use Basic, which is this light color right here, and I'm just gonna pat that on my lid. Okay, so I'm gonna blend the crease and the lid color using the last color in the palette that we're using today, Churro on the bottom. I'm gonna take that color and I'm gonna use it to blend both the lid and the crease colors. I'm gonna use it to kind of just warm it up a little bit because everything seems kind of cool tone right now. So I'm just gonna pat. You don't have to do anything too crazy. You don't have to go in and like swipe or like anything like that. Just pat it and the color should come together. Right on the outer edge of this dark color right here. Okay, so now that most of the shadows are laid down, underneath my brow bone, I like to use a shimmery color. I feel like it just catches the light better. So I'm gonna go in. I really love the pigments from MAC. So I'm going in with my MAC pigment. It's called Naked. And I'm just gonna take it's like a flat, it's still kind of fluffy brush from e.l.f. These things are like $3 and they're so dope. So I'm gonna run this color really quick. I'm just gonna pat it. Same thing like the concealer. I'm putting the majority of the pigment in the middle of the brow, and I'm just gonna carry it over left and right and blend it down. Once that's down, the same color, I use it for my inner tear duct. I have the pigment on the corner bottom edge of the brush, and I'm just gonna use it to just tap into my inner corner. Next, now that I have that down, I am going to put on my mascara and my brow gel so that you have an idea of what I use. The mascara that I really have been loving lately is the NARS Climax mascara. And then my brow gel that I was talking about is the e.l.f. brow gel. I like using that to kind of comb out my eyebrows, make sure that everything is blended and set.
And I'll be crying your name, girl, until my very last breath.
Okay, so next. Okay, next, I'm gonna go in with the Clinique Pretty Easy Liquid Eyelining Pen. Pretty much the way that I do my wing is I do 4 major steps in order to create the wing that is fitting for my eye. First line that I'm gonna lay down is going to follow the bottom line, like the direction that it's gonna go. So you see how like it curves up? Now, if you were to draw an imaginary line as to where this line is gonna end up, that's the line that I wanna draw for my wing. So that's the first line that I'm gonna draw. The line pretty much goes from the outside right at the end of my bottom waterline and it flicks up. Second line, I'm gonna draw in. Now, I wouldn't wanna draw from out here all the way to the end just because if you do that, there's so much room for error. So I'd rather draw from out here, meet in the middle, and then come from inside, meet in the middle. So that way I'm working with shorter lines. If you have shorter lines, there's less room for error. So I'm gonna come from this tail and I'm gonna pull inwards. Now I'm gonna go from my inner corner and I'm gonna meet the second line that I just drew. You see that we came in from the inner corner and we draw all the way to meet that second line. Fourth step is literally just fill in the rest of your outline. And that's it. It's a little wing. It's a little wing. It's a baby wing. See? That's it. Now that the wings are done, I am going to prep my eyelashes for the glue down. Usually when I put the glue on my eyelashes, I like to let them sit for a minute, 2 minutes, just to kind of get tacky before I put them directly on my lash line. I find that like when I put lashes down after just putting on the glue, it kind of just like does this on my eyes and I can't get it to settle anywhere. I'm gonna put the glue down first. I'm gonna set them aside to start getting tacky, and then I'm gonna move on to contouring, bronzing, blushing, sweeping away all this powder, and finishing the face. So for bronzer, I'm gonna use this, which is like hella old. I'm so sorry, you cannot get it unless you buy it on eBay, but it's when Rihanna did a collab with MAC a long time ago, and it's the Hibiscus Kiss. It's just kind of like a mid-tone brown, and I'm gonna go in with a, it's like semi-flat, like you see how like it's flat here, kind of has a dome here. I like this brush a lot for getting in my cheekbones and stuff, and I'm gonna use this to bronze up my face, kind of liven up myself, you know? For the contour color, I'm gonna use a color that I got from MAC. It's called Blunt, this color that I'm gonna use. And I'm gonna go in where my cheekbones are. I'm not gonna be as generous as I was with the bronzing color because I don't want this to go all over the place. This is my darker color, so it's gonna be more concentrated. It's gonna go back here. I usually start from the middle of my tragus and imagine a line going from there to the corner of my mouth. So I want to put this color like halfway in between that. And place it right here. Now before I was going like this with the brush, where I was like more like making big circles. This I'm just going back and forth. I'm not even making circles with it. because I want the color to remain concentrated right here. So with that same color blunt, I like to take a small round dome-shaped brush, and I like to go underneath where I put the contour stick underneath my lip, just to kind of put some oomph in what I put down, you know what I mean? Because like I said, Big Lips 2019. Okay. I put most of the color in the middle and just lightly drag it out. So by the time you're finished with that, your lashes should be tacky. And not like tacky, like bad tacky, like tacky I'm ready to stick to some lashes tacky. So I'm gonna go with the lashes. I line it up with the middle of my lash line. And I stick, right? So once I got the middle down, then I can worry about the corners. So I make sure that each of the corners get tucked in. Boom and boom. And if the lash glue is tacky enough, I like to also pinch. I pinch together my lashes and the falsies, so that way they're stuck together, we're in business. Next, I'm gonna dust away all this powder, finally look like I'm regular, like I'm going somewhere. And just take like a fluffy brush, anything that doesn't have anything on it is fine. One of the second to last things that I like to do is highlight. If you want the highlight to be a little bit more vibrant, then I like to put my highlight on top of my wet cheekbone. Take the same sponge that I used from before, and I take the flat side that I didn't put any product on. I take the same Olay mist and I just spray a little bit. I pat it to make sure that there's no like big drops on it. And then I'm gonna go over my cheekbone with this and kind of just like pat, 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 right? And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Now, it's not like totally saturating the cheek, but it's adding a little bit of moisture. That way when you go over it with your highlighter, it has something to cling to. So it's gonna show up a little bit brighter. So the highlighter that I'm gonna use is the Amrezy highlighter by Anastasia. That's real pretty. Okay. So to put on the highlighter, I'm going to use the Morphe M310, and I'm just going to dust it on top of my cheeks. Do you see it? 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 Boom, thank you, cut the check. Look at that. Oh my god. It's the highlight, y'all. Good morning. I like to blend it up into my brow bone, especially because I have that shimmer color up there, just so that it has somewhere to go, you know? Like, you don't want to just leave it with nowhere to go. You gotta bring it home. And then I like to take my pinky, just rub it like this. I put a little on my cupid bow. You gotta blend that because you don't want to look like you ate a powdered donut, okay? And I also take it, oh, I wiped too much. I put it, boop, onto my nose, sounding like a little baby. Last, I'm doing blush. I like to do blush in between the highlight and the contour, just to kind of use it as a blending tool, not just as a blush. So I'm going back in the Hibiscus Kiss little duo set, and I'm going on the bottom where that coral pinky color is, and I'm just going to get a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to put it right in between where the highlight and the contour go. So last is lips. So I'm using, don't make fun of me, but this is my lip liner, and it's by MAC in the color Half Red. I'm gonna go in with a lighter color, which is also short, but it's also by MAC, and it's called, this listen, I can never say this right, so let's like on camera figure it out together. It's called Dervish. Dervish? Dervish. So I'm gonna take that and I'm literally just like very messy, just gonna go in the middle and just like nah, 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 right? So over top of the lip liner, I'm not gonna put a lipstick. I'm just gonna put a very pigmented lip gloss over it. This is by Pat McGrath and it's called Flesh Fantasy. And I'm just gonna spread it
until my very last breath.
And there she blows. That's it. I'm gonna take my Morphe setting mist and gonna spray my face. And that's it, I finished. So two things since I changed. I went and added like a cream color in my waterline just to kind of open up my eyes a little bit more. And the second thing that I feel like needs to be addressed, I've never heard anybody talk about it, but we need to say it here because a lot of you girls leave the house and you put on your foundation and you smear it all over your face and it gets stuck in your nose hole and you don't do anything about it. You leave it there and you leave the house with your foundation in your nose. Stop doing it. It looks crazy. We're gonna clean it, okay? Just take a Q-tip and put it in your nose. Don't be ashamed. These things they happen, okay? It's just a regular thing. Just please clean your nose. Like, oh my God, I can't tell you enough how awful it looks. There's no boogies, okay? This is foundation on here. My nose is clean. But clean your nose, like seriously. And you'll look crazy. Look at that. It's just like straight brown. Like I have no shame, okay? This is foundation that would have been under my nose when I left the house. And a cute boy would have looked up my nose and be like, damn, that bitch is hiding dust in her nose. Wait. I think you have lipstick on your teeth. Lipstick on your teeth. It's a thing, okay? It happens. So just, we're getting all the terrible things out the way, out the gate, okay? So all that lipstick is probably what was going on my teeth. So clean your mouth, clean your nose. Thank you for watching. I'm very happy to finally be here. I can't wait to do a whole bunch of awesome, pretty things that have to do with glitter especially. But please make sure that if you like me, you know me, you love me, you want to hear from me, subscribe, like it, follow it, do whatever it do. Just make sure that you stay tuned here. I have a whole bunch of stuff coming. Thank you. I love you guys. Goodbye.